Twinkies are officially back from the dead. Hi there, everyone. I'm Jeff, and this is Plain English, where we help you upgrade your English with current events and trending topics. This is number 625, so that means you can find the full lesson at plainenglish.com/625. That includes the full transcript, interactive exercises, and more. plainenglish.com/625, and that is thanks to JR, the producer. Coming up today, they're yellow, spongy, sweet, and devoid of any nutritional value. There are far tastier snacks available in grocery stores and convenience stores, but the Twinkie has survived on American shelves for over 90 years. And after a brush with death 10 years ago, the Twinkie's future appears secured. Today, we'll talk about this staple of childhood in the U.S. In the second half of the lesson, I'll show you how to use the English expression try your hand at, and JR has a song of the week for us. Let's get going. The year was 1930. The Continental Baking Company had a factory in Schiller Park, Illinois, a close-in suburb of Chicago. The company was famous at the time for making Wonder Bread, one of the first mass-market brands of sliced bread. Continental also made cream-filled strawberry shortcakes. They used special machinery to fill the cakes with cream. But this was 1930, and food production depended on the seasonality of ingredients. Strawberries were not available all year long, so the machinery to fill strawberry shortcakes with cream, those machines sat idle for a portion of the year when you couldn't get strawberries in frigid Illinois. That's when James Alexander Dewar, an employee in the Schiller Park factory, had an idea. He invented a snack cake with banana filling. The bananas could be imported when strawberries were out of season. The snack was a yellow cake in the shape of a submarine filled with banana-flavored cream. He called it a Twinkie. People liked it. These were tough economic times, and Twinkies were cheap. A pack of 2 cost 5 cents. But just over a decade later, Continental ran into trouble. Bananas were rationed during World War II, so the company had to change its recipe. Instead of filling the Twinkie with banana cream, the company filled it with vanilla-flavored cream. That turned out to be very popular. The Twinkie soon became one of America's favorite junk foods. They even appeared in pop culture. In the 1984 movie Ghostbusters, one of the physicists uses a Twinkie to describe the power of ghosts in the city. In WALL-E, the robot's cockroach friend eats Twinkies. One of the characters in Die Hard is obsessed with Twinkies. He even memorized the ingredients. But as the years went by, the Twinkies maker, Hostess, which had bought the Continental Baking Company, Hostess ran into trouble. It hadn't evolved with the times. Hostess maintained a fleet of trucks that would deliver its products from the factory directly to the retail stores. This was antiquated. Most food producers deliver large shipments of their product to distribution centers, and then grocery and convenience store chains deliver the right amount of the product to individual stores. Modern inventory management and logistics practices mean that the store chains know exactly what to send to each store, and they have trucks going there anyway. Hostess, a small brand, was duplicating this process, and in doing so, it was spending way too much on delivery. Not only that, but the product didn't have a long shelf life. Despite being all junk and chemicals, a Twinkie had a shelf life of just 26 days, far less than other snack foods like chips, which can last over a month on the shelves. There was also the movement toward healthier eating. Twinkies didn't fit into the low-fat movement of the 1990s or the low-carb craze of the early 2000s. By 2012, it was too much. Hostess was losing money, and it filed for its second bankruptcy. On November 21st, 2012, Hostess stopped making the Twinkie. Americans scrambled to get the last Twinkies off store shelves. Customers fought for the last boxes. Boxes sold for thousands of dollars on eBay. It looked like the end of a snack food era. Just 6 months later, 2 private equity investors bought Hostess out of bankruptcy and decided they would try their hand at reviving the Twinkie and other Hostess products. Twinkies were back on store shelves with a few modifications. The new Twinkie is smaller and has 135 calories compared to 150 before. The shelf life was extended to 65 days thanks to new enzymes that can preserve moisture for longer. And Hostess would now deliver only to retailers' distribution centers, saving a lot of money on labor and gas. The Twinkie also benefited from a bit of luck. During the pandemic, American consumers fell back in love with classic brands. The trend toward healthier eating is not going away, but many people are finding room for indulgences, and they've returned to the brands they ate as kids. Hostess Brands just agreed to sell itself to J.M. Smucker Company. You probably know Smucker's as the maker of jellies and jams. The price was $5.6 billion. Not bad for a company that was in bankruptcy just 11 years ago. As I was researching this, I discovered that Twinkies are not common outside the US. They are available in Canada. They are available in Mexico. They're called submarinos here. I think you can get them in the UK. And they are huge in Egypt. There's a bakery in Egypt that supplies Twinkies to the Middle East and North Africa. They love their Twinkies in Egypt, or so I've read. But now it appears the future of the Twinkie is secured. I'm not a huge fan of them. Hostess makes chocolate cupcakes, which I think are better. But during the pandemic, I definitely did follow the trend of going back to brands that I remember from my childhood. Some of them, I tried it once and I said, okay, that was enough. But I've kept buying a few so I can understand the people who found their way back to Twinkies. Today's song of the week is Sweet Sounds of Heaven by the Rolling Stones featuring Lady Gaga and Stevie Wonder. This one is brand new, released at the end of September. And this is a good song. I'm a Rolling Stones fan, and this is one of the best songs in the later stage of their career. Mick Jagger alternates vocals with Lady Gaga. Stevie Wonder is on the keyboard. Great song from JR this week, Sweet Sounds of Heaven by the Rolling Stones. Next up, the English expression, try your hand. To try your hand at something is to attempt to do something, to make an effort at doing something. It often suggests that this is something of an experiment. Maybe you don't have a lot of experience doing this thing, or maybe others have tried doing it and failed before you. We usually say, try your hand at plus an ing verb. Or you can say, try your hand at plus an activity. A few years ago, I decided to try my hand at running an online business. I had always worked for other people before. I had never started a business. But I saw an opportunity and started an online business. I had no experience in the industry, no experience selling products or services online. That's why I would say I tried my hand at running an online business. So that's how you use it with an ing verb. Here's how you use it with an activity. Earlier this year, we talked about Tony Bennett. He had become famous singing old show tunes. But when the Beatles came to America, Tony Bennett tried his hand at pop music. That wasn't his expertise. That wasn't his specialty. He didn't have a reputation as a pop singer, but he tried his hand at pop music. He tried it. It didn't work for him. He went back to the classics and continued to have a great career doing what he wanted. In fact, later in life, he said he regretted having tried his hand at pop music, but at least he did try. In today's lesson, you learned that Hostess, the maker of the Twinkie, declared bankruptcy in 2012. Then, I said, 2 private equity firms tried their hand at making the Twinkie profitable. Now, those firms are very experienced in business. They were very experienced in the food business. So it's not like they were trying something new by buying a food business, but they were trying to do something where others had failed before. And remember, that's another way to use try your hand, to try to do something where others have failed. So Hostess went bankrupt twice trying to sell Twinkies and other snacks. And after the second bankruptcy, they gave up. They didn't want to make Twinkies anymore. That's when these 2 private equity investors tried their hand at making Twinkies, and they were able to succeed after the previous management had failed. Michael Jordan is a famous basketball player. He retired from professional basketball the first time and decided to try his hand at baseball. He played professional baseball for a few years, though not in the highest league. On Monday, you heard about Kelvin Kiptum, a 24-year-old runner from Kenya. He's been running for a long time. Starting at age 13, he started running half marathons. He ran several and either won them or placed near the top in half marathons in Kenya, Portugal, France, Spain, and other countries. Then he decided to try his hand at the full marathon. This was not a bad choice. His very first marathon was in Valencia, Spain. He won it and ran it in the 4th best time in history. He tried his hand at running a full marathon, and he did very well. He went on to set the world record in Chicago in 2023 this year. Now listen, if you want to try your hand at using some of the expressions you learn at Plain English, then there is a great way for you to do that. On our website at plainenglish.com, we have the transcripts, and below the transcript is a practice area where you can try your hand at using try your hand, or lean into, cut short, creep out, or any of the other 600 plus expressions we've talked about here. That is available to Plus members, and the best thing is I read every single example our members write, and I reply with feedback. And that way you know you're using the expressions correctly. So when you go to use them in real life, you've already gotten some practice with me. So that's part of the Plus membership. If you're not yet a part of that, you can sign up at plainenglish.com/plus. And that's all for us today at Plain English. We'll be back on Monday with a new topic. See you then.